Ladies and gentlemen, federal employees, today I'm talking to those law enforcement federal employees because you know the rules are different for you. We're going to talk about all the differences that you have to expect and know about when it comes to your federal benefits and federal retirement. So if you're new here, great to have you. My name is Dallin Hawes, a financial planner who serves federal employees every single day to help them get the most out of their benefits and retire confident. So again, I'm talking to law enforcement federal employees. Now, these rules I'm going to talk about today are going to be very similar to the rules for, let's say, air traffic controllers or border patrol or those sort of folks. You know, your special provision folks, the rules are different than those for traditional FERS, right? Most of my videos I make are for traditional FERS. So I didn't forget about you, right? I didn't forget about the special provision folks. This video is just for you guys. So first and foremost, one of the biggest differences that you guys have is when you can retire. The rules for you are that you can retire possibly earlier, okay? For you, the rules are if you are at least age 50 and you have 20 years of service, at least 20 years of service, then boom, you can retire right away and get a pension right away, all those things, right? Get all the benefits. As long as you hit age 50 and have at least 20 years, then boom, you can retire. If you have 25 years plus, then you can retire at any age. So if you start at age 20, you're now 45, you can retire because you've got 25 years at any age. You can retire at that time. Okay, so those are the big criteria. Now, if you don't hit one of those criteria, or you don't have the 20 years or 25 years of special provision time, it's got to be under the special provision system, then you fall under the normal FERS, traditional FERS rules and retirement rules. So go check out my other videos on that. You would just fall under the normal ones. But if you do have the full 20 years or 25 years under special provision time, then boom, you can get all the benefits that come with being a law enforcement or special provisions federal employee. Okay, that's number one, when you can retire. Number two, your pension is calculated and it's just going to be bigger per the amount of years you put in. The traditional FERS tend to have a multiplier in their pension calculation of 1%. Now, if you're not familiar with how your pension is calculated, I've got other videos on that. Go check it out. But long story short, you get more bang for your buck for every year you put in. Your multiplier is 1.7%, okay? And the traditional FERS get 1%. So you get 70% more for those first 20 years than traditional FERS tend to. So it's a big benefit. Your pension in general is just bigger than your traditional FERS counterparts because generally speaking, your jobs are quite stressful, right? They're law enforcement, air traffic controls, etc. You are in the line of fire per se in your job. So keep that in mind, okay? Next, the next benefit / perk, which I wouldn't call it a perk, but a part of the job is there tends to be mandatory retirement ages for federal law enforcement. Normally it's age 57. It can be slightly different depending on the position and agency, but normally around age 57 is the mandatory age for many law enforcement federal employees. Okay, next, one of the other biggest difference is when you can access the TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan. So normal traditional FERS employees have to retire in the year they turn 55 or later to be able to get into their TSP right away. But for you, the rules are different. And for you, the rules actually just got better. It used to be where you had to retire in the year you turn 50 or later. But what about those that have 25 years, retire at 45? Can they get access to their TSP? Well, now there's a new law that was passed in December of 2022, which would allow law enforcement officers, federal law enforcement officers, to as long as they're eligible for a retirement at that time, let's say at 45, then they can get into their TSP right away. Now, that law is relatively new, so we're going to see how it's actually implemented, right? So just keep that in mind. It's not something that we have tons of track record on. Keep that in mind, but that is the new rule that has come into play late last year of 2022. So keep that in mind, okay? Next, one of the biggest differences for you is that for traditional FERS employees, they don't actually get cost of living adjustments. They don't get increases to their pension and retirement until age 62. Okay, so if a traditional FERS retires at 57, they're not going to get an increase to their pension until 62 for 5 years. But for you as traditional or as special provision folks, you get COLAs, you get cost of living adjustments from the beginning all the way through. Okay, so that's another benefit of being law enforcement, of being special provisions. You get cost of living adjustments right away and all the way through just fine. Okay, also, as a special provisions federal employee, you get access to the FERS supplement right at retirement. If you're eligible, if you hit one of the eligibility requirements that I talked about, the 20 years at age 50 or after, or 25 years at any age, you can get the FERS supplement right away, which is an extra, it's an extra benefit that you get on top of your normal pension. And that FERS supplement is going to last all the way till 62. At 62, it's going to go away, at which point you'll have access to Social Security if you want it at that time, okay? So that's how it works. Now, normally for those traditional FERS, if they're getting the FERS supplement, they can get it, but if they're working another job, it's often reduced and taken away, okay? But for you special provision folks, it's a little different. Let's say you retire at 50 years old, you have 20 years, you're gonna get the FERS supplement between 50 and 62. However, once you hit what they call your minimum retirement age, which is age 57 for most of you, then that is when they're going to start doing what they call an earnings test. So if you are working another job between 57 and 62, they will reduce your FERS supplement. But between when you retire as a special provisions federal employee and 57 or your MRA, they're not going to look at other income at all. You can work another job, you can do whatever. You're still going to get your full pension and full FERS supplement, no questions asked. Between 57 and 62, you're still going to get your full FERS pension, no questions asked. But the FERS supplement can be reduced if you're out working another job or own a business or that sort of thing. So keep that in mind. So those are the biggest differences for you folks as FERS, special provision, law enforcement. That's how it works for you. Those are the big differences. All my other videos, many of them are going to apply to you, but generally speaking, I'm talking to traditional folks just because there's more of them. But I don't forget about you. If you have any questions about your benefits specifically, there's a link below to submit those questions, and we will base our future content on those. So I hope that's helpful. Have an incredible rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.